Okay, TB Nation, you wanted Zac, you got it. This bad boy is finally getting exposed. And Zac has done a lot of work to make his backstory so confusing that you can't really pin him on anything. You see, he uses comedy as a cover for his actual heinous acts. So just who is this Zac Amico, and how did he get to his position? Well, buckle up, because this story is gonna get wild. So before Zac was the zany character we know today, apparently he was a very shy person who didn't speak much. And when he was a young teen, even his own family became very concerned about him when he didn't seem to want to do anything except watch the 2001 brilliant comedy movie Evolution. And people that knew him back then even claimed that the movie Evolution was the only topic Zac was willing to talk about. But it's during high school that Zac gains a new obsession: the VH1 hit TV show The Pickup Artist, hosted by the pickup artist himself, Mystery. And if you don't remember the show, it was a short-lived but beloved program that taught men how to pick up women, using specific tactics like peacocking by wearing outlandish and not flattering clothing, and being, generally speaking, sexually aggressive and handsy with strangers. Well, Zac got hooked on this show and became a mega fan, even running the Mystery fan club for 3 years. Well, let's just say Zac uses the tactics he learns from the pickup artist and becomes a wild child himself. And he starts wearing insane clothing and donning a look at me hairstyle. Now, this is long before Zac was a performer, but this is actually what starts him on that path. You see, Zac and his then best friend Miko decided to start a party karaoke business called Crazy Karaoke, and this becomes a huge hit in their hometown in New Jersey. College students, bachelorette parties, all sorts of people would rent out this mobile karaoke bus with Miko driving and Zac hosting the karaoke. So the two are actually doing very well with their little business, and that's when they get offered an amazing deal. You see, this was the golden era of reality TV. Everyone was landing shows from exterminators to roadside cleanup crews, and TLC wanted to turn Crazy Karaoke with Miko and Zac into a reality show. So this is obviously insanely great news for these two best friends. But in the coming months, the pressure of the network and all the money being thrown around starts to put a strain on the friendship. You see, in reality shows, most of the drama is conjured up by producers and writers off camera who are intentionally asking questions or inserting ideas to get people fired up. And while filming some test shots before they even got to film the pilot, during an interview, a producer asked the two best friends, Miko and Zac, which one of them could land Sandra Bullock. And this was intended to be a funny, lighthearted question, as clearly neither of these two were in the running for dating a movie star. But apparently, this silly question sparked a real fight between Miko and Zac that got so bad that they were both arrested, and their reality show was immediately scrapped. So now these one-time best friends are on the outs and have lost their biggest opportunity, which you can imagine neither one of them was willing to take the blame for. And that, of course, leads to their karaoke business breaking down as well. So eventually the two reached an agreement that Zac would buy out Miko's portion of the company and he would carry on solo. But on the very trip to deliver the mobile karaoke business, Miko gets into a terrible accident that sends the karaoke bus off the side of a cliff. And needless to say, Miko didn't make it. And here's where things start to get devious. So apparently when they set up the insurance for this business, it was all done over the phone. And the insurance company must have misheard Zac and Miko as Zac Amico, believing it was a one-man operation. So when they went to pay out on the claim, all $250,000 went to Zac, robbing Miko's family of even the ability to pay for his funeral. And they were allegedly forced to throw his body down a waterfall. And some say that this phone call with the insurance company and his choice not to correct the information is where Zac stepped into the dark side, never to return again. So now Zac has more money than he's ever seen and has nothing but time to kill. But that quickly leads to him being haunted by the guilt of taking all the insurance money. But instead of Zac doing the right thing and distributing the money accordingly, he did something crazy and paid VH1's Mystery 50 grand to come stay with him for a month and teach him a deeper knowledge. And in reality, Zac was just paying someone to pacify his evil actions. So Mystery, of course, gladly accepts this money in exchange for helping Zac shed his human feelings. You see, Mystery knew how to entirely cut off the feeling of guilt. Otherwise, he would have to face the 20+ years of sexual crimes he'd been committing. And so Mystery teaches Zac the ancient art of drufashir, which encourages maximum greed and never admitting wrongdoing. And people have confused this belief system, drufashir, with Satanism for its similar pleasure-seeking tenets. But the practice of drufashir is much more sinister. You see, Satanism might be all about pursuing one's own desires, but the practices of drufashir is all about deriving pleasure only from harming others. So once Zac becomes versed in this practice, he becomes unstoppable. And he immediately turns his focus to avenues in life that prey upon the humiliation of others, and starts himself working on reality TV. And this really expanded Zac's world and had him flying to locations all across the US. And while on a job in Atlanta, Zac stumbles upon the ATL twins. And if you don't remember these guys, they're white white boy thug twins that somehow started working at a legal firm. And these guys are truly nuts, having never spent more than 5 minutes away from each other in their entire life. They even share one girlfriend and literally believe they are one person split somehow. And back in the day, Vice did a whole piece on these guys and that shot them into fame, and James Franco's character in the Spring Breakers movie is even based on them. And that's actually them in the movie doing a cameo right there. But long story short, Zac gets acquainted with these two dark figures and starts to learn from them as well. And that's why when we were all first introduced to Zac via Louis J. Gomez, he was said to be Louis's lawyer. You see, Zac used the same trickery as the Atlanta twins and basically pretended to be a lawyer just to network. And online sleuthers believe Zac must have some serious dirt on Louis J. Gomez, because he went from being a shadowy figure in the background introduced as a lawyer to being a literal co-host on Louis's show, The Real Ass Podcast. But what about Zac's involvement with Troma Films? Well, apparently this started when Zac wrote a script for Evolution 2 and became obsessed with getting this film made. Well, you can imagine he couldn't even get big studios to return a call or read this script, and was eventually relegated to Troma or nothing. So they made this poorly received Evolution 2 that featured, of course, none of the original actors and was bizarrely kind of a serious drama movie. And apparently this was so horrible and embarrassing that Zac ever since has been making these intentionally bad Troma movies just so he can claim that Evolution 2 was also supposed to be bad intentionally. And recently Zac was even seen out at the Ivy having lunch with one Sandra Bullock, reigniting the interest in Zac's past discretions. And someone was even able to get a hold of the actual wreckage report from Miko's death. And while there's no definitive proof, it appeared that the brakes of the karaoke bus had recently been altered while under the care of Zac. Now we may never know the truth about this startling scenario, but we do know this: Louis J. Gomez is now stuck with this psychopath who may be controlling his every move. And there's plenty more about this guy, like the fact that he's getting sued by the Jonas Brothers for apparently tricking one of them into eating human poop, or his manic 5-hour Twitch rant about the cultural importance of the movie Evolution, but we'll have to save that for another time. Until then, Zach Bryan, aka Zac Amico, you're a total bitch. Alright everyone, I've been staying with this family for the last 24 hours trying to get them to understand the gravity of comedians' secret lives, but they just aren't getting it. Now they asked me to leave, which of course I did, but I was able to sneak back into their attic space without them noticing. As the TB army grows, the Austin Mafia grows closer. So please do your part and spread this video before I get crushed by the kings of comedy.